Okay, well, just a moment. Okay, so Mike, well, first of all, thanks for the interview and congratulations for the release of the new record. So my first question for you is about the feedbacks you are receiving from the fans. I mean, which comments most caught up your attention? What do you think that people are arguing the most about the record?
When I read the comments, I enjoy reading about what songs people like the most because uh, the person that writes the music is never going to perceive it the same way as someone that just listens to the music. I'll always see it differently than everybody else. I'll hear things that people don't hear, and it's just different. So, I have my favorite songs on the record, and I'm always curious to see if fans feel the same way about it. And um, the opening track, "I Have No Pity," is not one of my favorite songs on the record. I like it. I wrote it, most of it anyway. But I'm not. I'm surprised that the record label and Dez and a lot of people seem to be liking that opening track. I That was very unexpected.
In your opinion, maybe another song should be the first one?
I think Bloodbath should have opened up the record personally, and it was originally going to be opening up with Bloodbath, but I got the final track listing shortly before we released it, and I don't know who's responsible for switching that around. It could be Dez, it could be the record label, it could have been both, but they felt strongly about that, and I'm not one to put up a fight about track listing or what singles are picked because, like I said, I'm the writer. I look at it a different way. I'd rather take the advice of multiple listeners that the few people that we let listen to the record before it comes out and getting some feedback from them and using that feedback to decide what we should release first.
Yes, and well, dealing with the Demons Volume 2 is for obvious a continuation from the previous one. So I must ask you, in your opinion, what are, well, the similarities and difference between them, and what were the source of inspirations for the theme of the lyrics?
The theme of the lyrics I can't comment on. I don't write any of the lyrics. That's all Des. As far as the records, everything was recorded at the same time. All We did 20 songs. One of them hasn't been released yet. And so from a recording, sonically they sound the same. There's not any difference. We didn't know which songs were going to go on volume 1 or volume 2 while we were recording the record. We just knew that we were going to do 20 songs and then divide them up and put out volume 1 and volume 2. And that's the way it goes. It's kind of like Guns N' Roses Use Your Illusion 1 and 2. It's the production of those records sounds identical.
And you wrote the record in 2019, right?
No, we wrote this record in 2017 and 2018, and I was done with guitars and bass in November of 2018, and Dez finished his vocals and we took some time off after that for the holidays. And Dez started recording again, I believe, in February of 2019, and that was the last time we did any recordings on from both of the records. So this album is already 4 years old.
Yeah, well, so maybe since there's, well, many times, a lot of time in the past that you wrote, and maybe is there a song that you do something different if you would do in 2023?
Yeah, I'd make "I Have No Pity" a better song because I know looking back now, like I'm surprised so many people like it, but that's the one song on the record that I always think, could have just, there's something missing from it that, and I don't put much thought into it because I can't fix it now. But if you were to give me another chance to make that song maybe like 10 to 15% better, I would.
Yes, and well, if we look to the cover art of the two records, they look the same, but I think this new one is a little bit more powerful. Can you tell us a little bit about this artwork of the two records?
Well, like I said on the last interview, I'll do this again. Everyone always asks me about Dez's lyrics and the album cover, which are two things that I never, I don't really have much part in, you know, because when I'm done recording the record, I'm like, Dez, your turn. You know, he does the artwork, he does the lyrics, and I'm usually so burnt out at that point working on the record that I'm done. And so Dez will have some artwork for me when it's mostly done. He'll send it to me. He'll call me up and be like, Mike, what do you think? And I'll look at it and I'll go, yeah, I like it. Looks good. And he goes, great. And then that's it.
Well, so let's move on to the musical aspects. For example, which guitar riff of the record is your favorite? This one's difficult.
Hmm. Really like the opening guitar riff of Summoning. I didn't write that riff. That was something that Neil wrote, but he had a whole list of songs that weren't completely finished, but are mostly finished. And I would go through, he had a lot of them, like 30. And I would go through and listen to them and give them a rating in iTunes, you know, between 1 and 5 stars of which ones I wanted to work on in which order. And Summoning was the first one that I picked. It has this Alice in Chains vibe to it a little bit. And Jerry Cantrell's my favorite guitar player. And I've noticed over probably like the last 5 or 10 years that I've been slowly focusing on his style as well as some other bands that rather than relying on what I used to rely on for inspiration, which was Scandinavian metal, like In Flames, Opeth, At the Gates, and you know, maybe Carcass from the UK. Ah, there you go. And it turned out being one of my favorite songs on the record too.
Yes, and well, you are the guitarist and also the producer of the record, one of the producers, right? So how was to do these two roles on the record? What were the challenges?
That was a mistake with our press release. I didn't have anything to do with the production of this record. I wrote a lot of it. I did the, you know, we record in my studio right in here. We record demos, but I don't know where that statement came from. It is 100% false. Steve Evans deserves all the credit for this record.
Okay, well, let's jump to the next question. So I was checking the Spotify, and 5 out of 9 tracks of of the new record have the explicit content mark, right? That says that songs that are not for sensitive ears, something like that. So in which way do you think that Spotify mark helps or doesn't help to promote the record?
I think the sticker, parental advisory, explicit lyrics or content that was on CDs back in the 90s.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
I think it's worn off now. I think you can see so much crazy shit on the internet so easily that I think the whole world has been desensitized to the extent of what makes people freak out as far as explicit content goes. You know, they have the warning there, but I don't think it helps or hinders. a record these days whatsoever. I don't think people care anymore.
Yes. And well, I was checking the YouTube comments from the video Through the Depths. And well, one comment that has many likes on the comments. It says that the song is heavy, groovy, but aggressive and pissed in a good way. Do you agree with the comments?
Yeah. As long as they sound positive, I'm happy with it. Even when people are negative about in the comments, I kind of like to read those sometimes as well. They make me laugh. Luckily, I am not offended by bad comments. You're never going to make everybody happy. And I feel like the bigger the band you become, the more negative comments you're going to get. And that's just the way you got to look at it and not let it get to you.
Yes, and how was well, what do you think about the result of the video clip? Do you like it? How was to do it?
Through the Depths?
Yes.
I liked that video. You know, we've been working with a guy named Vicente for a very long time. He's done a lot of our videos, and he's kind of one of the go-to guys in LA for LA-based metal bands. And the girls in that video, they really went through hell. You know, the factory that we recorded that in was in downtown Los Angeles, and it was cold, it was raining, and they were in their underwear all day getting all that makeup put on. And I mean, I was in pants, a shirt, and a jacket, and probably wearing my beanie too. I mean, it was cold in there, and those poor girls, man, they just I got a lot of respect for them, because I think it took a good 8 hours for them to all put on their makeup.
And do you like to well interpret in video clips, or because many musicians, well, they don't really like to record video clips.
I don't like doing videos. They're boring. You know, it's I always said that if I tried to become an actor, I would be the worst actor on earth, because I am just not good at faking it, I guess. And it's a lot of work, you know. It's like our necks hurt after playing an hour show, but you got to go in and do it off and on for probably 6 to 8 hours, and it gets painful. And just I was always happy to see the end product, but you know, not every aspect of your job is going to be fun. And I don't hate making videos, but I don't love it by any means. I'd rather not do it. But it's one of those things that if you're in a band and if you want it to be successful, you have to do it.
Like doing interviews, right?
I'd rather do interviews than music videos.
Yeah. Okay. And Mike, well, if you have to pick 5 records that most influenced you in the way that you play the guitar right now, which ones wouldn't be?
Well, I guess it's probably no surprise to people that Gojira has been an influence, and Alice in Chains, as well as, you know, I listen to a lot of industrial and goth. You know, if you listen closely, some of the, you know, more pretty parts that I've written were probably influenced by Sisters of Mercy. And, you know, I would honestly say that there's some Marilyn Manson inspired riffs in there as well. But things change over time, and seems like every record I have a group of of other records that I think have influenced me to the point that my writing style changes a little bit over time.
Okay, and what about outside the heavy metal and rock scene? there are any artists that you really like and well, people wouldn't believe it?
Bluegrass. I
Hmm.
listen to a lot of bluegrass these days. There's a band called the Dead South from Canada. That's my favorite bluegrass band. 16 horsepower. 16 horsepower I've been listening to since I was in high school. But they were and I wouldn't even really consider them a full-blown bluegrass band. The influence is there, but other bands of the genre that I've really gotten into are Goodnight Texas, Oh Death, Trampled by Turtles, and but mainly the Dead South. And I've gotten so into it in the last year and a half, 2 years, that I've started to learn how to play the banjo a couple months ago. I finally bought myself one, and I've been slowly working at it.
Yes, and maybe some of these huge pop artists these ones you don't really like.
Wait, say that again?
These huge pop artists,
Oh, pop artists?
yeah, like Taylor Swift, something like that. Do you like one of them?
You know, I don't listen to her a whole lot, but Lana Del Rey has some cool stuff that I like. But most of the pop artists that I really like are from the 80s. You know, Depeche Mode, Tears for Fears, the Eurythmics. Um, I really like 80s pop. There's a lot of good stuff in there. But 90s pop, no, not so much. Um, Believe it or not, I was a big fan of Michael Jackson, you know, his older stuff. And dude, pop artists these days, you know, but I went through a phase where I was really into Lady Gaga too, but that
Oh,
was over 10 years ago. I'm not a fan of her newer records. I like her first 3 records, that's about it. But um I don't pay attention to pop music these days. You know, it's I think when no one listens to the radio that's around me anymore, you know, because everyone has their personal devices where it's easier for you to pick and choose what you want to listen to. And
yes.
I hear of these pop artists, you know, like my wife is in public relations and works with a number of people in the music industry, and she had to do some work with Doja Cat. And I had no idea who she was until she started working with her. So I don't pay attention to that stuff at all anymore. And from what I hear, I really don't like it. It's not for me.
Yeah, well, okay. And well, Mike, we are reaching the end of the interview. I must ask you to leave a message for your Brazilian fans. And congratulations again for the release. Good luck on the road.
Thank you. Um, some of the people out there that listen to us might know that the last time the band came to Brazil, I was not there. Unfortunately, the day we were gonna leave for South America, I had a seizure and ended up in the hospital, and so I had to miss it. So I'm in debt to them. I owe them a show, and would very much like to come to Brazil because I've never been there.
Yeah, well, I hope you can and really like our country.
I'm sure I'll like it too. I know there's some great spots to go surfing over there too.
Yes, yes. So, well, see you on the road and bye bye.
All right. Thank you.